was talking about you two yesterday.
Us two?
Yeah, about baseball stuff. Someone was telling me one of you is fast and one of you has a curveball. That's not what I heard.
Is it 87 and 88 or 88 and 89?
87, 88. 87 was the 2-page notes. Yeah, somebody was asking me if I had you two in class. I'm like, yeah, they even sit by each other, but I never hear them talk about baseball.
Was it T-May or Thomas May?
Yeah. He was the only person to show up fourth period yesterday, and he said that he needed it to be eligible to play.
That's just test review. I'm sorry, but for some reason, I had to go to the SEC. Yes, I am. You're a sophomore, right? How's your 20s project? Is it like every 10 seconds or something?
Yeah, like I know what times classes start. I was just thrown off without it. I'm ready for this.
We're still on research, so it's pretty easy.
I forgot about the test review. Were we supposed to do 1 through 9 and 11?
No.
Or are we doing that today?
By the end of the day, those.
Okay, yeah. That's
So I think we'll have time
easy.
to flip.
You ready for this?
You want the quiz or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I am. I think I do. I just got some.
Are you gonna put Logan sign today?
I'm like,
But like,
9 and a half.
get the fries.
I want to hear a word out of your damn mouth. And this one you always.
It's either fries or chips. Last semester was chips.
Yeah, you always said fries.
Do you really want one?
Not really.
I was waiting in line.
I mean, this is a pretty easy costume.
What, in the
lunchroom,
cafeteria? Ridiculous. What's going on?
I don't know. People just.
It was so cramped in there.
There's like 10 times more people than like anywhere.
I think I got this. I can't wait for next period.
There was
Next
so
period,
many
I
people
can work on my
there.
tablet.
I did not know what was going on.
Oh, I did there. I just saw this big crowd of people. I grabbed my food, I bought mine, and then I looked back and it was like 10 times
And like,
longer.
I don't care about anything after
If you're even a little bit late, like,
y'all's.
even if you did let out half the bell,
So there's
you
nothing that's
gotta
gonna
get
be
there
on the
really
table.
early to beat the
It's just
like
gonna be
really line, but
presentations.
it's never even that bad, even if it's gonna like, I don't know what happened. But it better not be like that any other day.
Yeah.
Usually,
Wait,
And it's
do you
just
guys
a
have
bunch of
a
girls,
test
a
review?
bunch of girls.
Do you have a test review?
You know what we think.
No.
yeah.
I didn't. What? It's down there?
Yeah, no. I care about grade. That would be good. Yeah, no.
I think it's the one that says test review.
Well, but it doesn't say specific. Well, it just says no calculator is allowed on this.
No calculator allowed on the quiz. Oh, but I use calculator for everything.
I was like, that's not the title.
Luke, I don't. I never use the calculator unless I have to.
That's what would prompt you to need one.
You know, we're
To double check my stuff.
All right, the bells are turned off, but it is time to start class here.
Use the
So-
dog bill.
87.
Can you hear it?
Oh shoot, I forgot. I forgot to turn that stuff on, like,
Oh,
like
I heard that.
digitally.
I can hear it now.
Oh, I hear that.
Hear what?
You gotta assign to a button. That's horrible.
He said hear what? Because he can't hear it.
For my loud
Yeah.
classes. If you press that and you just wait, they'll get quiet. All right, I need 2 assignments. About half of you turned this in the Google Classroom already, but 87 was 3.2 notes, part 2. That was 2 pages stapled together. And 88 was worksheet 1 on the front, worksheet 2 on the back. And then, so again, obviously if you did them Google Classroom, you don't have to turn them in physically, but otherwise, please come give those to me if you want full points. Then phones, smartwatches need to be turned into the front. And our quiz this afternoon is no calculator, so your desk needs to be cleared off. So let me get you started on that, and then I'll give you some directions about after.
Thank you.
Forgot. I forgot these things weren't like solid.
Okay, point values are not written on here, but it's 1 point per blank. And you're doing 3.1.
I don't know if you're probably not grading those, are just in case.
Alright, so you've got your quiz first up, and then I'm going to leave the board on for you to see the agenda. But about a week ago, I gave you guys a test review, maybe a little bit longer than that. And I'd asked you to only do questions 1, 2, and 3 because those were from sections 3.1, and we had some class time, so I wanted you to get a little more practice in before that quiz, but also have a touch of your test review done. That same test review, I never numbered it in your binder, and I still haven't assigned a number to it yet. But I'd like you to finish questions 1 through 9 and question 11 from that. If you were absent that day and you never picked one up, you'll need to get it from the bottom of the bookshelf over there. I can help you find it if you need to. But for those of you that happen to finish your quiz sooner, you should go ahead and work on that so that you don't have any homework. But I think I mentioned this on Monday, that instead of testing all 5 sections, 1.9, 3.1, 3.2, 3.3, and 3.4, and having it be a 100-point test, we're splitting it up into 2 parts this year. 1.9, 3.1, and now 3.2 will make up a 50-point test. And then after we do that, we'll do 3.3 and 3.4 and do the other 50 points. So that is why I need you to do that part of the test review. You're obviously welcome to try other questions from the test review, but you're not going to be responsible for those until the second half begins. So,
When it's asking for the equation of asymptote, is that just y? Like I just put that as y equals.
If it's horizontal, it should be y equals something, and if it's vertical, it should be x equals something.
think we've got all the quizzes in. So again, let me remind you that next up you need to do just part of that test review, not the entire thing. Trying to be very clear on that. My B-Day classes are a little bit ahead of you guys just because there were so many B-Days last week. And I had a couple students come in yesterday before the ACT test only because they thought they didn't know how to do most of it. But again, a lot of it's from 3.3 and 3.4 that we'll do after the first 50-point test. You only need to worry about questions 1 through 9 and 11. I have it written up there. Those are the questions you guys need to have done on your test review. So if you don't have that done, you need to do that now, please. Even if you're just now starting it, you got like 40 minutes, so that should be pretty attainable, especially if you did questions 1 through 3 when I asked you to. So on Friday, I will give you a chance to ask about and talk about those questions from the test review. I will pass back your 1.9, your 3.1, and today's 3.2 quiz so you can see what mistakes you had, if any, and help you make sure that you're not going to make those mistakes on the test. So that is the plan for Friday, and then we will test this and then move on to the second half of the unit on Monday. Any questions about the plan for class? Also, I don't know that we will get the second half of the test in before spring break. We're certainly going to try to because I think that's in your best interest as long as we're not rushing through it. But we're going to do the best that we can. The other thing, before I get quiet and let you guys work on that review, I wanted to know how the ACT went for those of you that took it.
It was actually pretty good.
Really?
Like the questions, I mean, they definitely they started out pretty good. Probably around I don't know for you guys, like 45, 50. They started getting more challenging.
Yeah, I think that's pretty common now. I think that's the way.
I didn't take it in like December, but I took it in like September, and it was like ridiculous, like stuff I'd never seen ever.
What's your score? Was that the first time you've taken it?
Yeah, and I talked to some people that had taken it before, and they said it was like way harder. So it might have just been a hard one back then, but it was like way better this time.
Well, that's one thing that I was going to say, just in case y'all didn't know this, but the ACT company, they're pretty secretive about how they calculate the scores, and it's a scaling score. So like, while if you took the test yesterday and you were thinking it was hard, or in the future if you take one and you think it's hard, you shouldn't just give up and assume that you're going to score worse. What they do is they take all the raw data, score everybody's test, see what the average is, and then based on the average they determine how many points out of 36 that you get. So you can actually get less questions correct sometimes and still get a higher score if it's considered a harder version. And what's considered a harder version is when the average score is lower. But the flip side of that is, if you're taking it and you're like, man, this is easy, this is the easiest one I've ever done, if it's that easy for everybody, then that means you've got to have more questions right to get the score that you're wanting. So it is a trade-off. So you should never be too concerned about it being overly difficult as long as it's the same for everybody. But I heard the first part of the science was kind of weird. Anybody have that issue?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The comment one was definitely the hardest set of.
I mean, I can't see the questions. I'm not allowed to see them. That's
I mean,
pretty
I know
common.
it's all data interpretation, but I feel like that was definitely for me the weirdest of the data interpretation.
Take a copy of the test results.
I do. It's on the bottom of the bookshelf because I didn't number it yet. If you don't see it, let me know.
Science, I feel like it was really hard because the names were so hard to figure out. That's what always tripped me out.
And I get
Yeah,
that
like
you
you
don't,
don't have to say it, I just do that.
I get that you don't really have to know about it, you just have to look at the data, but even still, some of the data was just like weird to interpret. Did you take it? Do you feel like you'll be better on this one?
The last time I took it was June.
Last time I took it, in 7th grade, and I got a 22.
Something else to keep in mind, I don't know if y'all know this, but the juniors that took it last year here at the high school, it was computerized. It was all on computer. And students don't tend to like that. I don't think you can like go back to questions. something about the highlighting in the English section. I don't remember what the issue was there. But if you are not happy with your ACT score, and you think you would hate to take it on computer, you need to keep that in mind, because I don't know if it's 1 year away or 5 years away, but being computerized completely is soon going to be the only way to do it. So,
I did not win. I was so
I
glad.
think it's so much faster to flip through the pages. So.
I mean, I'm with
What
you,
should do it.
but the thing, ACT, like they have the scores instantly. So,
They do.
well, when you take it on computer,
Oh.
because everyone finishes, the computer grades it, and then they can start looking at average score and all that kind of stuff right away. Versus you send in the paper, and then someone's isn't reading, some Scantron's not reading, you know, they have to deal with all that kind of stuff. But so, if you feel like you need to take it again or multiple times, you know, you might put in your studying and try to get that knocked out in the next year or so. Again, none of us really know, but I just know that computerized testing is becoming more and more of a thing. So if you don't like that, which seems to be the consensus, you better hope that you squeeze in before that becomes the norm. Also, so I'm just kind of curious what type of stuff you guys saw math-wise. So remember, our class is not really focused on ACT, but ACT should have 4 trig questions every time. Pretty standard for 2 of them to be SOHCAHTOA. You feel like you saw 2 SOHCAHTOA questions? No?
Yeah, there was a lot of sense.
There was a lot of science, okay.
It kind of gave you that. Like, it just
Yeah.
told you how it worked, and you just had to look at it.
Right.
I guess because they can't expect you to know it.
Yeah, so since some people don't take trigonometry in high school, they try to phrase it in a way where you could figure it out even if you haven't learned it. But if you know what it is and what it does and how it works, then obviously you can do it much quicker. Okay, so good. Law of sines, law of cosines, some people saw that. Okay, I think y'all are my first group to say yes to that. One group of mine said they saw some logarithm stuff.
Yeah, there was like one. I don't know.
I think I saw one.
It wasn't many, but I feel like there was at least one that said something about
You
one.
had it where it was a
There was
like
a
a triangle
Lots of
and
good
then
March,
two lines.
or I mean in December.
It asked, like, what the
There was like 6 or 7 logarithmic questions.
Oh,
And that's what I scored all of.
Yeah, there really wasn't much there.
There was a natural log. Answer.
I'm probably gonna take it in April.
Yeah, yeah, some of them.
sometimes it's just a little bit of luck too, you know. If you've reviewed logarithms like we've done in class here recently, then it'll probably be a lot easier now than in December before we had. But so the other things sometimes show up. Sometimes graphing sine and cosine graphs. Did anybody see anything like that? Amplitude, phase shift.
Last ACT I took, I saw those, but this one.
Yeah.
I had a lot of percentage, average, and geometry.
Yeah. Well, like I said, there's usually only 4 trig questions, so they can't ask all that stuff every time. They usually rotate it out a little bit.
There
So-
was like one unit circle question.
Yeah, usually 1 or 2 at the most. Was it where you had to know the unit circle, or did they give you enough information that you could have figured it out even if you'd never learned that?
It'd probably be confusing if you didn't know it, but I think it was like, given that this.
I think it asks like, what's the x value at 150 degrees for the turn line?
Okay.
Yeah, and I think.
Yeah, so if you hadn't studied that before, that would be pretty hard to do.
Did it say like, given that something was this?
I think you just said
I think. Okay, yeah, then maybe you did. It was.
Okay. So unit circle, a little bit of logarithm, maybe 1 logarithm question, law of sines. Let's see, what else did we do that shows up on there sometimes? I've seen trig equations on there, but that one's a little bit rare. And anything else that we do in here that you noticed? Usually if you guys want to improve your math ACT score, for most everybody it's always geometry.
Yeah.
Especially by the time you'll get to pre-calc. It's been a couple years for some of you guys, and that's a big chunk of ACT. So, and the nice thing is geometry questions are honestly not too bad, but you know, if you don't put in some time studying and reviewing them, then you're not going to get them. So, yeah.
So for like the two consecutive integers stuff,
Yeah.
is he talking about like
What would
the
your
number
answer?
the number once you like multiply it, like log 3, 15, like would it fall between 9 and 27, or would it be like the exponent that you multiply between 9?
So like, it's because whenever you type in the calculator,
Is the answer to this
so
bigger
it's,
than 1 or less than 1?
I messed up. Like I wasn't gonna be synced on when you started.
Guys, did y'all finish the test review?
Yeah, I did it.
Bigger than 1?
Is it bigger than 1 or bigger or less than 1?
Or
If you put this in your
it's bigger
calculator,
than 1.
you should expect it to be what and then some decimals. No, without your calculator.
Oh,
You need to know how to read this.
sorry. It would be bigger than
Hey, don't start the game.
Look at you.
bigger than 2, but less than 3.
These are consecutive integers.
Okay.
Those
so-
are integers and they're consecutive. They're back to back.
Yeah.
So it's a way of saying like, what number is it in between? What two numbers is it in between?
Okay.
Without a calculator.
So log 3, 15 is between 2 and 3.
Yeah. Because 3 squared would be 9, too little. 3 cubed would be 27, which is too much. So you don't know what it is without a calculator, but you know it's between 2 and 3.